Most men get used to being the one who texts first, the one who plans, the one who follows up, reassures, explains, waits. And after a while, they all ask the same quiet question. Why does she feel so distant, so passive, so cold? Here's the uncomfortable truth most men never hear. Women do initiate, women do pursue, women do chase, just not men who have trained them not to. If she never reaches out, never escalates, never takes a step toward you, that's not bad luck. That's feedback. It means something in your behavior taught her that your attention is guaranteed, and therefore worthless. So ask yourself this carefully. If she never initiates, what did you teach her about your value? This isn't surface-level dating advice, and it's definitely not about tricks or manipulation. What you're about to hear is a psychological breakdown of why certain men trigger pursuit, and why others quietly erase it without realizing it. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 principles that shift the dynamic so women stop leaning back and start leaning in, without you chasing, convincing, or performing. If you're a man who cares about emotional control, self-respect, and long-term leverage, hit like, subscribe, and stay with me. Let's start where most men go wrong. Number 1. Stop rewarding passive energy. Most men don't realize they're doing this because it feels generous. It feels patient. It feels like effort. But psychologically, it's overcompensation, and it quietly kills a woman's desire to invest. Overcompensation is when you give more than the situation has earned. You reply instantly, even when she disappears for hours. You carry conversations she barely participates in. You keep offering attention, reassurance, and effort without any signal that she's meeting you halfway. From the outside, it looks like interest. To the nervous system, it reads as imbalance. Here's the mistake most men make. They assume giving more will inspire her to give back. In reality, it teaches her the opposite. The human brain is wired to conserve energy. When someone receives rewards without effort, their motivation to act drops. Not because they're cruel, but because there's no urgency. So she adapts. She learns she can sit back. She learns she doesn't need to initiate, escalate, or pursue. She learns that your attention is stable no matter how little she invests. And once that pattern locks in, she doesn't feel pulled toward you. She feels accommodated by you. That's why passivity grows. Not because she lacks interest, but because the environment you created made passivity the most efficient option. Here's the truth. Most men resist hearing. You didn't attract her passivity. You trained it. When effort and reward are disconnected, attraction decays. Not dramatically, quietly. She stops feeling the tension that moves her forward. She stops feeling the need to lean in. She starts responding instead of reaching. The shift begins when you reconnect effort to access. Your presence becomes responsive, not constant. When she engages, you're there, present, grounded, attentive. When she withdraws, you don't chase to restore balance. You allow space to do its work. That absence isn't punishment, it's contrast. And contrast is what reactivates awareness. When your presence is earned, it feels valuable. When it's removed, it's noticed. That gap creates emotional movement. She starts adjusting her behavior, not because you demanded it, but because the environment changed. This is where many men panic and rush back in. Don't. Discomfort is not danger, it's information. Stop rewarding what costs her nothing. Start reinforcing what requires intention. That's how initiative is rebuilt. Without lectures, without pressure, and without losing your composure. Number 2, create intrigue and uncertainty without playing games. Most men misunderstand intrigue because they confuse it with manipulation. They think it means being vague, hot and cold, or emotionally unavailable. It doesn't. Real intrigue comes from restraint, not deception. The female mind is wired to seek closure. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished experiences stay active in the brain. When something feels unresolved, the mind keeps returning to it. That's not strategy, that's biology. Men kill this effect by over-explaining. They talk too much. They reveal too fast. They dump their story, their intentions, their availability, and their emotional investment early, often in the name of honesty. But what they're really doing is removing all tension from the interaction. Certainty feels safe. But safety without tension doesn't create pursuit. When a woman feels she has you fully mapped, your interest, your intentions, your availability, there's nothing left for her nervous system to engage with. No curiosity, no pull, no reason to move toward you. She doesn't feel intrigued, she feels informed. And informed doesn't chase. This shows up in small, subtle ways. Conversations that stretch too long. Texts that explain instead of invite. Emotional clarity offered before attraction has space to form. Men think they're building connection, but they're actually closing the loop too soon. Intrigue lives in what you don't rush to resolve. It's leaving a conversation while the energy is still warm. It's not locking in a label before the dynamic has earned it. It's allowing moments to end slightly unfinished, so her mind keeps working after you're gone. This doesn't mean withholding interest. It means not flooding the space with certainty. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Certainty kills desire faster than rejection. Rejection creates tension. Certainty erases it. When you stop trying to make everything clear and instead allow space for curiosity, something shifts. She starts asking questions internally. She starts wondering where she stands. She starts leaning forward, not because she's confused, but because her attention has been engaged. Intrigue isn't silence. It's pacing. You don't disappear. You don't perform. You simply stop rushing the outcome. And when you do that, the chase doesn't need to be forced. It starts forming on its own. Number 3, use microflirtation, then pull back. One of the fastest ways men erase attraction is by flooding a woman with continuous validation, compliments, attention, emotional availability without pause. It feels warm, it feels reassuring, and it quietly kills desire. The female nervous system doesn't respond to constant stimulation. It responds to contrast. When validation is uninterrupted, it becomes background noise. Not because she's ungrateful, but because the brain adapts. Dopamine spikes come from variation, not saturation. This is why intermittent reinforcement is so powerful. The presence of reward, followed by its temporary absence, creates anticipation, craving, focus. Most men never create that rhythm. They flirt nonstop. They compliment everything. They stay emotionally on at all times. And without realizing it, they remove the mystery that keeps her attention engaged. There's nothing left for her to chase, because everything is already being handed to her. Microflirtation changes that dynamic. It's short, intentional, self-contained, a confident remark, a brief moment of eye contact, a low, grounded compliment delivered without expectation and then released. No follow-up, no fishing for reaction, no escalation attached. Then you shift. You talk about something neutral. You recenter. You let the moment pass. That pullback is where the effect happens. Her nervous system registers the spike, then the drop. And the brain doesn't like unfinished emotional loops. It wants resolution. It wants the feeling again. So she becomes more attentive, more present, more curious about how to re-engage that energy. This isn't about teasing. It's about restraint. Here's where men get it wrong. They think mystery means distance. It doesn't. Mystery means control over expression. Knowing when to stop, even when it feels good to continue. A simple example looks like this. You say, "That look suits you," with calm certainty. You smile, and then you pivot the conversation. No hovering, no explanation, no reassurance. Now the moment belongs to her. She replays it. She wonders what it meant. She looks for the next opening, not because you withheld affection, but because you didn't over-deliver it. And that's the distinction most men miss. Mystery isn't silence, it's restraint. When your attention comes in clean, deliberate bursts instead of a constant stream, it gains weight. And weight is what pulls someone forward, without you having to chase at all. Number 4, make her earn your availability. Your time is the most valuable currency you have, and the one most men give away without thinking. Once it's spent, it's gone. You don't earn it back. Yet many men treat their time as if it has no cost, no weight, no consequence. And women feel that immediately. When a man is always available, always reachable, always ready to rearrange his life the moment she reaches out, his presence loses gravity. Not because she doesn't appreciate him, but because the nervous system doesn't register abundance as value. It registers scarcity. This isn't a dating tactic, it's biology. The brain's reward system responds more strongly when something desirable is uncertain or limited. That's why rare experiences feel exciting. That's why exclusive access creates anticipation. And that's why a man whose time isn't on demand feels more compelling than one who is. Men sabotage this by being overly accessible. She texts last minute, and he clears his schedule. She hints at plans, and he jumps. She gives minimal effort, and he still shows up fully. Over time, the message becomes clear. His time costs nothing. And when something costs nothing, it's treated accordingly. Making her earn your availability doesn't mean being cold or unavailable. It means being intentional. It means your schedule reflects a life that matters, to you first. If she reaches out without having invested recently, you don't rush to accommodate. You respond when it fits your rhythm. If she suggests something last minute after days of silence, you don't bend your structure to meet it. You stay grounded. That boundary does something important. It signals that access to you is not automatic. It has context, it has timing, it has standards. Now here's the part most men miss. Effort should be rewarded, but only when it's real. When she plans ahead, when she shows thoughtfulness, when she adjusts her schedule for you. That's when you show up fully. You enjoy the moment. You let her feel that her investment created connection. The nervous system learns through contrast. She starts to associate effort with access, initiative with reward, and without a word being said, urgency forms. Because now your time isn't just something she can tap into whenever she wants. It's something she has to secure. And that's the shift. If your time costs nothing, your presence means nothing. But when your availability is anchored in self-respect, it becomes something she wants to lock in before someone else does. Number 5, plant the seed of action without chasing. Many women would initiate more often if one thing wasn't standing in the way: fear. Not fear of you, but fear of how they'll be perceived. Being judged, being rejected, being seen as desperate. That hesitation is real, and most men completely misread it. They assume silence means lack of interest, so they chase harder, they push, they over-clarify. And ironically, that pressure confirms her fear, because now initiation feels risky instead of natural. The shift happens when you remove the risk before she acts. This is where permission comes in. Permission is not pursuit. It's not asking. It's not convincing. It's a relaxed signal that says, if you step forward, it will be received. Nothing more. Men who chase apply pressure. Men who give permission create space. The difference is subtle, but powerful. Planting the seed of action means offering a future-oriented opening without attaching urgency or expectation. A light suggestion. A calm invitation that doesn't need immediate resolution. Statements like, text me when you're free, or next time you're around, say hi, do something important psychologically. They pre-approve her initiative. They tell her that reaching out won't be awkward, unwanted, or misread. Now the door is open. and she knows it. Here's why this works. The nervous system avoids rejection more than it seeks reward. When rejection is removed from the equation, behavior changes. Initiative feels safer. Action feels permitted. And because the idea came from you in a grounded, confident way, she doesn't feel like she's chasing. She feels like she's responding. That distinction matters. A man who chases tries to force momentum. A man who plants seeds lets momentum grow. He doesn't rush the outcome. He lets her choose the moment. And when she does, it feels natural, because the path was already there. Here's the truth most men never consider. She initiates when rejection is already removed. Give her clarity without pressure, direction without demand. And suddenly, the first move doesn't feel like a risk. It feels like the obvious next step. Number 6, hold your composure when she moves closer. This is where most men lose everything they've built, right when it starts working. The moment a woman shows clear interest, many men panic internally. She leans in. She touches your arm. She stays close longer than necessary. And instead of staying grounded, he overreacts. His tone changes. His focus narrows. His energy spikes. He makes it obvious this moment matters too much. That reaction kills the dynamic faster than disinterest ever could. Attraction doesn't collapse because she moved closer. It collapses because he did. When a man suddenly treats her attention like a rare event, something he's been waiting for, it signals scarcity in him, not value in her. It tells her, without words, that this interest is unusual for him, that he's not used to being chosen. Women read that instantly. Calmness, on the other hand, signals pre-selection. It suggests that female interest is familiar territory, that you can enjoy it without clinging to it, that her proximity is welcomed, but not needed, and that distinction changes everything. Picture a social setting. She chooses the seat next to you, even though there are plenty of others. Most men would immediately shift all their attention toward her. They lean in. They lock on. They abandon the rest of the room. A composed man doesn't. He acknowledges her presence. He engages naturally. And then, without withdrawing, he keeps his center. He continues the conversation he was already in. He doesn't chase her attention just because it appeared. That's when something subtle happens. She starts adjusting. Now she's the one leaning in more, touching again, looking for ways to pull your focus back toward her. Not because you ignored her, but because you didn't orbit her. This taps into a powerful but rarely discussed dynamic, female competition. When a woman senses that your attention isn't easily secured, it activates a competitive drive. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, internal one. She wants to win your focus, to stand out, to feel chosen, but only if you don't give it away too quickly. Here's the truth most men never accept. Needing her attention is louder than asking for it. When you stay composed, you communicate abundance without saying a word. You let her interest grow instead of smothering it. And that composure doesn't push her away, it pulls her closer, because confidence isn't reacting. It's staying centered when you don't have to prove anything. Number 7. Don't overvalidate. Maintain the chase. This is where most men make their final mistake. She initiates. She reaches out first. She plans something. She escalates physically or emotionally, and he assumes the game is over. So he relaxes in the wrong way. He overvalidates. He overexplains. He starts rewarding effort as if it secured him permanently. And without realizing it, he collapses the very tension that made her move toward him in the first place. Initiation is not the finish line. It's a checkpoint. When a woman initiates, she's testing whether your value holds once she steps forward. Your response doesn't just acknowledge her, it sets the tone for everything that follows. There are 3 stages women move through when they pursue a man. First is testing. low investment. A text, a glance, a light touch. She's checking responsiveness without risk. Second is securing attention. She plans something. She adjusts her schedule. She invests time or effort to see if access to you is consistent. Third is deep pursuit. She initiates regularly. She escalates intimacy. She competes subtly for your focus. Your job is not to rush these stages or collapse them with over-validation. Most men do exactly that. When she reaches out, they respond with relief instead of composure. They increase effort instead of matching it. They treat her initiative as proof they've been chosen, rather than as a moment to stay centered. The correct response is calm acknowledgement paired with restraint. You match her energy, or slightly undermatch it. You appreciate effort without treating it as leverage. You reward investment without surrendering your frame. If she plans something thoughtful, you don't gush. You acknowledge it, enjoy it, and remain grounded. You don't start behaving as if she now has you, because certainty is where pursuit slows. Once she feels your approval is guaranteed, her nervous system relaxes. And relaxed systems don't chase, they settle. The key is to give her wins without giving away the game. Here's the truth most men miss, and it's the one that decides everything long-term. The chase doesn't stop when she chooses you. It stops when you lose yourself. Women don't pursue men because of tricks. They pursue men whose identity remains stable under attention. Men who don't inflate or collapse based on interest. Men whose self-respect doesn't fluctuate with validation. When you stay centered, before, during, and after her initiation, you become the constant, and she becomes the variable adjusting around you. That's why some men get chased once, and others never stop being chased. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this. Women don't chase because of lines, tactics, or performance. They chase because of who a man is when nothing is guaranteed. They chase men who don't collapse when attention appears. They chase men who don't inflate when validation arrives. They chase men whose identity stays intact, whether a woman leans in or walks away. That's the difference. The men women pursue long-term aren't doing more. They're leaking less neediness, less over-explaining, less emotional panic. They don't rush to secure outcomes because their value isn't dependent on them. And that creates a rare combination, emotional safety and tension. Not safety from predictability, but safety from pressure. Not tension from chaos, but tension from restraint. This was never about tricking women into chasing you. It was about removing the behaviors that quietly teach them not to. When you stop rewarding passivity, when you stop killing intrigue with certainty, when you control your validation, your time,